Gentlemen, welcome to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about the WWE Monday Night Raw May 5th, 2025 review. I thought the show was fairly decent. The crowd was in and out somewhat, sometimes in there, sometimes they weren't. I mean, it was kind of like up and down overall. I thought the matches on the show were fair as well. I thought what we got as the main event with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line against Seth Rollins, I thought Jey Uso was going to walk away losing the title. Thankfully, that match was just used as a way of bringing back CM Punk. Now, we're not going to see CM Punk and Seth Rollins on the Backlash card doing anything special, so they're probably just going to wait and build towards the next pay-per-view that's coming up. And that's pretty much when they're going to pull the trigger on that. But this was a great main event. Very close to call. I was saying to myself, maybe Seth Rollins isn't winning tonight. But initially I was saying, nah, they're probably going to give it to Seth Rollins right here, right now. And call it a day and get rid of Jey Uso's run. Because if you notice in the rundown of all the matches that were going to take place at Backlash, they did not have Logan Paul and Jey Uso on there at all, which I found very fascinating. But that match is still going to take place. Paul Heyman kind of tricked Jey Uso into defending his World Heavyweight Championship by giving him the option as to when and where he would like to do the match, and he should expect to lose. He said, fuck it, I'm just going to do it tonight, and the hell with it. I would have been shocked, honestly, that they would have dropped the title to Seth Rollins this soon, but at the same time, we're not expecting Jey Uso to have a long run with this World Championship, so him losing tonight would have been not all surprising at all, but when you throw CM Punk into the mix, causing the interference, I should say, to Seth Rollins and having it as a no contest, that explains a lot. Doesn't hurt Seth Rollins, doesn't hurt Jey Uso in any way, and there you go. But the opener of this show was fucking off the walls. Paul Heyman went nuclear and went crazy, started screaming his fucking head off. Looked like he was going to have a fucking heart attack and reenact Ric Flair from 1998 in December, leading into Starrcade. I actually was watching WCW in chronological order leading up to Starrcade 98 because I've been watching the episodes over the years, and whenever I get a free opportunity, I kind of go in spurts and binge watch WCW. And the pay-per-views as well, since I never got a chance to watch it when I was a kid. And Ric Flair actually did legitimately have a heart attack on national television. And I thought Paul Heyman was going to be doing the same thing. He was turning blistering red. I don't care what kind of fucking orange tan he had going on, but damn, dude, give it a rest, man. You're going to give yourself a fucking heart attack. Lose some weight. Something. But shit, man. He fucking popping a blood vessel in the middle of this promo, all kinds of shit. So let's just get to it. Paul Heyman comes out to the stage to loud boos from the crowd. Heyman says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I came here tonight not to disrespect the World Heavyweight Champion, main event Jey Uso, but I dragged myself all the way out here tonight to Omaha, Nebraska, because I wanted to say something straight to the face of the World Heavyweight Champion, Jey Uso." Uso says Heyman has a lot of balls stepping into the ring with him after what he did to his family. Heyman incredulously asks if Uso is going to lecture him about betraying their tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Uso says he saw past Heyman from day one. He warned his cousin about him, as well as CM Punk. Heyman says it's a shame that while Uso was handing out warnings, he should have warned him about his best friend in the whole world, CM Punk. Heyman tells the crowd to keep their boos to themselves while the microphone is in his hand, because he was getting pissed at the crowd booing him. Not one of them had to live what he lived through. His best friend in the world, CM Punk, put him in a position where he was guaranteed to sabotage. Heyman is interrupted by a CM Punk chant, and Heyman mocks the crowd. Heyman says they chant his name because they don't know what's in the dark heart of that man. That man put him in a position to sabotage the relationship with Roman Reigns. Did that all on your own, pal. You didn't have to turn on him in the middle of the match. It's time to talk about Uso's cousin, Roman Reigns. An OTC chant breaks out, and Heyman looks irritated. Heyman had a dream with his best friend, CM Punk. While Roman Reigns is still playing football and not thinking about the wrestling business, Heyman wanted his best friend to overcome all the adversity in his life and be in his corner at WrestleMania. What did Reigns think he would do? Sell all the secrets to CM Punk? Why would Heyman do that after building up the bloodline for 5 years? The crowd loudly boos Heyman. Heyman says he found a stray big dog on the island of irrelevancy and turned him into the tribal chief and the ruler of the WWE Universe. They were the undisputed WWE champion for 1,316 days. Heyman is not the one who blew it by getting beaten by Cody Rhodes after being distracted by Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40. Reigns lost the title that Heyman spent 5 years of his life building him up to be champion. Reigns then disappeared and licked his wounds like a big dog. He left Heyman in the hands of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and the Tongans. They put him through a table at Madison Square Garden and nearly ended his 40-year career. Reigns didn't come back to avenge him, came back to get his Ulafala back. Heyman incredulously says he betrayed Roman Reigns, who couldn't handle the fact that he wanted his best friend to live his dream. It's always Paul Heyman who's the scumbag in this situation. Not this time. Heyman screams that he's in the right. Heyman shouts, and you blame me? Screw you. Heyman then says, screw the crowd for booing him. I fucking loved this segment. Heyman was cooking. Heyman looked great in this segment. I absolutely fucking loved this. There was so much raw aggression, raw emotion coming out of Paul Heyman. And some of it had legitimate, truths to it. Facts. Like, he wanted to go ahead and, be there for his friend, for CM Punk. He never was going to screw over Roman Reigns in the process. He left Roman Reigns left Paul Heyman in the process by himself to be attacked by the new bloodline that took over the original bloodline. And then he comes back not to avenge the attack on Paul Heyman, but is more worried about an Ulafala. Or at least mention that Paul Heyman is one of the reasons why he came back to avenge the disrespect to Paul Heyman and everything, as well as get his Ulafala back. He never mentions that. All he cared about was the Ulafala the whole fucking time. He never gave a shit. There was even moments on SmackDown, small little backstage moments, where Paul Heyman called Roman Reigns and never got an answer, went straight to voicemail. And then the exact same thing happened with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns called Paul Heyman one time while Paul Heyman was out, and he didn't get a message. He went straight to voicemail as well. I think also maybe the number was changed. It was dead. The phone number was disconnected or some shit. Like it was no longer in service. I don't know. But that was what happened. during this whole build up to it, and it was just small little things that came about as we got closer and closer to Mania and the return of both of these guys. And it's just crazy. But it makes a lot of sense why Paul Heyman did what he did. And then the fucking thing that's right in front of you as the viewer is Seth Rollins said one thing. What did CM Punk and Roman Reigns do for Paul Heyman? Did they show any care? Did they give a shit about his safety? Did they stand up for him? Blah, blah, blah. CM Punk was standing up for Paul Heyman at one point during the Bloodline, but then he was on Raw, so he wasn't technically able to do anything for him. And then he was also saving Paul Heyman, though, when Paul Heyman was, doing the favor that Punk asked him to do. So then you go ahead and you look on the other side of things with CM Punk. And Paul Heyman addresses, hey, you put me in a situation where you're making me have an issue with Roman Reigns. You couldn't have done this at another time. Something, anything. It had to be at WrestleMania where I was placed where I had to look like I was betraying Roman Reigns. So there was a lot of trust issues involved in this that made him have to break, and he just finally snapped, basically, with all the factors withstanding and everything else. Seth Rollins did not stomp him in the head. He let him live. He could have put him out just like that, and he didn't. So that's why Paul Heyman did him a favor and helped him win the match. So at the end of the day, it wasn't Paul. In my mind, I don't see Paul Heyman as being a low-life person in this situation. I didn't see him betraying anyone. I see that Paul Heyman was betrayed by Roman Reigns most definitely, and Punk did not care about Paul Heyman or anything. He cared about using Paul Heyman as a pawn to get to Roman Reigns, so it'll give him a higher probability of winning the match at WrestleMania. That's the best way to look at this from Paul Heyman's perspective, and it makes perfect sense. So I think you can't say that Paul Heyman screwed over Roman Reigns or Punk. He was just put in a very bad situation, and he chose to get the hell out of it. And Seth Rollins was the out for him. So there you go. So Uso rubs his face after listening to Heyman. The crowd chants asshole. Uso asks Heyman if he is okay after that massive blow up. Uso asks if he's done. What does this have to do with him? And Heyman smirks and says he owes Uso an apology. It has nothing to do with Uso. Not that part, at least. He didn't come out here to talk about Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Heyman did come out to talk about Uso, which has everything to do with Jey Uso. Uso won that world title because he wants it, because that title is all about power and control. Heyman says Uso doesn't know how to weld power and control. He doesn't understand that leverage. He thinks yeeting and putting on a great performance is what it takes, but that's not what the title is about. While Uso needs to be champion and wants to be champion, Seth Rollins has to be champion. Seth Rollins has to have that power. Seth Rollins has to have that control. Braun Breaker was stage 1 of their plan. Stage 2 is that title. Heyman will give Uso a favor to sign his own death warrant. He'll let Uso pick the night he loses the World Heavyweight Championship because Seth Rollins is challenging him for the world title. He pinned Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. He beat Reigns and Punk at WrestleMania. Uso knows he has earned the shot. Uso can pick the time and place. Heyman goes to walk off, but Uso stops him. Uso asks Omaha to help him out. Did Heyman just say anytime, any place, and anywhere for the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins? It's on tonight. 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet. Uso's fired up and Heyman looks stunned. And they go backstage. Seth Rollins told Paul Heyman that he was going to accept it on the night of, and he was not wrong. He knew that Seth Rollins, or Jey Uso, was willing to prove himself. He has a lot to prove, and he's a fighting champion, so anyone that comes up to him and challenges him for his title, he's going to defend it. And that's pretty much that. Braun Breaker kind of seems like he's stuck. He ain't got nowhere to go, advance in his career right now, being tied up with Seth Rollins. The only direction I could see this coming to is that Braun Breaker is the one that wins the Royal Rumble and beats Seth Rollins for the world title to get a opportunity for the world championship, unless he goes to the other show and becomes the WWE champion, which I don't see that happening. So right now it's just Sami Zayn, pretty much. It's either Sami Zayn or CM Punk, and that's all there is to it. So I don't know. So after that, he basically states that Rollins is a sniper and has Uso in his sights. Heyman says they'll get handed the keys to the kingdom when the referee hands the world championship to Seth Rollins. Breaker smiles and looks excited. I don't know why he's so excited unless he's getting a future shot for the world title against Seth Rollins. So, I don't know. Penta, JD McDonough. Penta ends up winning this match. He wins by hitting the Mexican Destroyer for the dub, and that's it. Backstage, we have Grayson Waller arguing with GM Adam Pearce. Austin Theory walks up. Waller offers his match to Theory. Pearce gives the match to Theory instead. Theory doesn't know who it is against, and Waller says it's a surprise. Theory's confused. Then we have Austin Theory introduced to his opponent for the night, and Austin Theory faces Sheamus in Sheamus's debut match back to the WWE, and Sheamus ends up winning the match. I do believe Sheamus will win the Intercontinental Championship, and it will be against Dominic Mysterio. I honestly believe that. I think Dominic Mysterio is the perfect opponent for Sheamus to win the title. It doesn't hurt Dominic Mysterio because of his stature or anything like that. You do this later on in the year, like at SummerSlam or something, I would be totally fine with that. Book the match to take place. Sheamus wins his title at SummerSlam, and there you go. He's got his moment. His career is set in stone. He's won every single championship ever made in the WWE, and there you go. At least every major championship you're supposed to carry. So, and he would be a Grand Slam champion. He'd have the IC Championship, US Championship, the World Championship, and Tag Team titles, all rolled into one. And at the Backlash pay-per-view, Dominic Mysterio will defend the title against Penta for the IC Championship. That should be a fantastic match. I still see Dominic Mysterio walking away still the IC Champion, retaining his title. And can't wait to see that match. I think that match is going to be fun. JD McDonough backstage at the clubhouse is not happy that Chad Gable got involved in his match. AJ Styles walks in and says it doesn't matter who wins at Backlash. He's coming for the Intercontinental title. Styles does botch the name and says he's so excited and flustered. They call him an old man. Styles then says he's coming for the IC Championship and walks off. Mysterio didn't realize being a champion would be this hard. He then tells Finn Balor to handle Styles since they have a history, and Balor asks if his role is to clean up Mysterio's messes. then smiles and says he'll take care of it for him. Apparently, he's bidding orders from Dominic Mysterio at this point. Taking orders from Dominic Mysterio. Anyway, backstage segment, Chad Gable's furious that his nose got bloodied by Penta. The World Tag Team Champions New Day walk up to him. They say the opportunities that are coming to the War Raiders, whom they destroyed at WrestleMania, need to come back to American Made. Becky Lynch walks through them and heads in the direction of the ring. Yeah, I'd like to see American Made progress and succeed and do something amazing, but they haven't since day one, since they started, and they look promising, but they keep booking them where they look like shit, so I don't know. Becky Lynch addresses Lyra Valkyria. Becky Lynch is in the ring and the crowd boos her. She says she's back in Omaha. She can't believe they're saying she sucks. Lynch says she's confused. They treat her like the bad guy, but she's the victim here. Okay. She took out Bayley, but everyone lost their minds when she walked down the ramp at WrestleMania. One woman was crying. No one cared where Bayley was. She's garbage. Lynch says she should be thanked for taking out the garbage. She also took out the recycling. That's what Lyra Valkyria is. She's less offensive than actual garbage. But she's still garbage. Lyra Valkyria's attitude is bad. She doesn't have a dream or make history if it's not for Lynch. She wouldn't even have a fiance. Lyra Valkyria comes out and walks out to the stage. Valkyria says Lynch is the queen of recycling because she's been recycling the same shtick for years. That's straight. That's a shoot right there. That ain't work. Lynch had nothing to do with her success. Valkyria says that Lynch didn't make her. Lynch went on a holiday and everyone got better. Valkyria made history on her own. Lynch has said the title needs her, but Valkyria has defended it more than Lynch has shown up for work. Lynch shattered the glass ceiling for women, but she's left broken glass for the rest of them. Lynch admits that everyone had a great year while she was gone, but that's because they couldn't compare to her. Yes, Lynch didn't help anybody, but she doesn't like anyone. Her job is to beat everybody. Sports Illustrated says she's the best of all time. Valkyria will always be the moment after the moment. Valkyria runs through Lynch's accomplishments, such as being the first SmackDown Women's Champion, main eventing WrestleMania. She goes on to say that Lynch was the first Women's IC Champion. No, that's incorrect. But then says that was her. As long as she's here, Lynch will be in second place. Lynch goes for a cheap shot, but Valkyria spin kicks her down, and Valkyria slams her, and they get into a huge brawl. WWE referees run down to separate them. Lynch gets on the microphone and shouts about disrespect, but Valkyria runs in, and Valkyria gets out of the manhandle slam and hits a Nightwing on Becky Lynch. She stands tall over Becky Lynch with the championship, and that's how the segment goes off. Not bad. I mean, Wrestling 101, people will say, well, Lynch is the one that needs to go over here based on the way things went down. Yada, yada, yada. I would say break the fucking mold. This is a match that helps Valkyria get noticed by the WWE. This is a match where Becky Lynch needs to take the L, giving Valkyria's run as IC champion something meaningful. A title defense against a name like Becky Lynch is something that Valkyria needs. Becky Lynch does not really need this match. She's basically bulletproof, really. Valkyria needs to win. They have to book her in this situation where she wins the match. Without a shadow of a doubt. And honestly, on offshore betting websites where you can actually bet on this shit, Becky Lynch is the favorite by a minus 400, while Valkyria, I think, has like a minus or a plus 200 or something. So if you drop $25 on Valkyria, you can easily win money. Win a shitload of money without putting so much money down. Would I even bet on this match? Probably not. I would not recommend you guys betting on this specific match because honestly, it's too hard to call. I mean, they might book Becky Lynch to win. I really think they would. I think they could possibly book her to win this match. But I wouldn't go out there and bet on this. This is not worth betting on. It's not worth losing any money for. I think it's a potential match that could turn into something good. And we might be all presently, very surprised by how everything goes down. Just my own personal opinion on that. So anyway, it was confirmed the world title will be defended on Raw in the main event. Roxanne Perez had her match next against Io Sky. And Roxanne Perez ends up losing the match. Very close matchup, by the way. Roxanne Perez, after the match, is furious as she watches Io Sky celebrate. Perez turns Sky around and extends her hand. Sky shakes her hand and shows her respect, but Perez then walks off, and Julia then attacks Sky from behind. Perez smiles, gets back in the ring. Julia holds Sky up, and Perez kicks her in the skull. Julia stomps her down, and Julia holds her up again, and Perez kicks her in the face again. Perez and Julia pose over the fallen women's champion to end the segment. Next, we had Otis versus Rusev. Rusev in his return match back to the WWE. This is his debut match back to WWE. He ends up winning. Not that bad. Otis had a little bit of offense, but not by much. Rusev got his ass kicked. Rusev kicked Otis's ass, and beat him with the accolade to make him just tap out. After the match, Akira Tozawa gets in Rusev's face and rips his shirt off, and Rusev backs off and leaves the ring, waving off the Alpha Academy. Tozawa checks on Otis, and Rusev runs into the ring, grabs Tozawa before giving him a powerbomb onto Otis, and Rusev sends Otis into the ring post twice, knocking him out of the ring, and Rusev gets Otis back into the ring and hits a running thrust kick, and Rusev puts the accolades back on him. WWE officials run out, eventually pull Rusev off. The GM, Adam Pearce, runs at Rusev to stop what he was doing. And that's pretty much what I got from that. Hold on. And then the main event, of course, was the world title, which I already went over. CM Punk saved Jey Uso from losing it because he came very close to losing the title multiple times. Then we had also Gunther and Pat McAfee. Adam Pearce is in the ring. Pearce calls McAfee into the ring. The crowd chants McAfee. Pearce then introduces Gunther. Gunther makes his way into the ring. Pearce says they've talked about this all day. They will not let what happened 2 weeks ago happen again. The time for talking is done at Backlash. Pearce tells them to keep it professional for tonight. McAfee will let Gunther speak first. Gunther says he won't do anything tonight and spoil it for himself. Unlike McAfee and his friend out there, he is a professional. Gunther is cut off by a "you tapped out" chant. Gunther tells the crowd to shut up because he'll get to that later. McAfee says he heard Gunther talk about being a professional. His friend Michael Cole is a walking, talking goat at a Michael Cole champ picks up. For 28 years, every single week of his life, except for 3 times, he has dedicated himself to traveling the world for this company. 28 years, 52 weeks a year. Cole has earned the right to have an opinion. Since his opinion pissed Gunther off to the point he had to attack a 60-year-old man. McAfee will give his opinion on Gunther standing here right now. It's our prerogative that they're in beautiful... I'm sorry. So he continues on. When he thinks of Nebraska, he thinks of the Cornhuskers. McAfee points them out and says he can't wait for them to rise in the fall. Right across from this arena is a baseball field that was hosted by the College Baseball World Series since 1950. This city is a symbol of working hard and dreams come true. A crowd is loving this promo. McAfee says dreams is a good word. He has a lot in common with Gunther, even though McAfee is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Gunther's from Austria. They both grew up idolizing the superstars of yesterday in this business. Spent hours watching professional wrestling, thinking that's what they were put on this earth to do. The problem with Gunther and his dreams is that he's been doing it for 20 years. Gunther has been champion 80% of his time in the WWE. Gunther is jaded. This is a job for him now. McAfee is excited to be here and is jacked up on life. McAfee thinks of his kids, of the kids out there like him who dream about getting in the ring and letting assholes like Gunther know they don't like what he's about. Gunther's at this stage is different from the Walter stage. I liked how they brought the Walter name in there. Gunther doesn't want it anymore. He's got too comfortable. It happened with Sami Zayn. Happened with Jey Uso on Saturday. He's underestimating Pat McAfee. And McAfee will show that this version of Gunther is soft. Gunther thinks about it and asks McAfee enjoyed his daughter's birthday last week. For Gunther, Saturday's going to be a very special day for him. And McAfee got him in the right mood for it. It's his first match since WrestleMania. Gunther will be sharp and more focused than ever before. Gunther promises McAfee his full and undivided attention. That bell will ring on Saturday, and he will beat up McAfee, maul him, and drive his head into the mat. Gunther will choke him out until he drops like a wet towel. Gunther is in Pat McAfee's face, but by Gunther's grace, McAfee is untouchable. On Saturday, only the grace of God can lift his arms off McAfee's throat. Gunther shoves McAfee and leaves the ring. And that's how the segment goes off. The final match of the night was the World Championship with Seth Rollins and Jey Uso. There was assistance by Sami Zayn that I forgot to mention, actually, in this match. So Sami Zayn came out first to make the save and help Jey Uso even out the odds a little bit with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker, though, speared Sami Zayn, speared Jey Uso while the referee's back was turned. We thought we were going to see Jey Uso be defeated and lose the World Championship, but that was not to be, thanks to CM Punk making his return back and attacking Seth Rollins in the process. So we got that. And that's what saved Jey Uso from losing the title so soon, which I'm kind of happy about. I don't want to see his run end so soon, but I was expecting it to occur under these circumstances, and, you know, Jey Uso being a guy that's not expected to carry the title for a very long time, I wouldn't have been shocked either if they would have went with Seth Rollins to win the title and be the new world champion. So it was kind of interesting how that all went about. But yeah. Anyway, I did think the show was fairly decent and pretty entertaining for what it was. I think it was a solid show. I think it did its job. Certain aspects, other aspects, it was, was there, what have you. But it wasn't a bad show nonetheless. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, go ahead and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.